Did you know one of these 70s beach classics sold over 30 million copies worldwide, despite being recorded in just 2 sessions? While another was banned from radio stations, yet still defined summer for an entire generation? The 1970s combined musical rebellion with seemingly innocent summer anthems, as transistor radios blared across sun-soaked beaches and vinyl records spun at oceanfront parties. As we dive into our countdown, each song reveals a different facet of a decade torn between escapism and confronting harsh realities. These 10 beach party classics might sound carefree with their shimmering guitars and breezy harmonies, but the stories behind them are anything but. Mungo Jerry's In the Summertime, 1970, the carefree anthem during chaotic times. Picture this, it's 1970. Protests against the Vietnam War erupting across America, and suddenly the radio starts playing a happy little tune about sunshine, beaches, and good times. Talk about musical whiplash. Mungo Jerry's In the Summertime burst upon the scene with a simplicity that was almost revolutionary. The band, just formed a year earlier with Ray Dorset, Colin Earle, and Paul King, recorded the summer anthem in just 2 quick sessions with bare-bones equipment. The contrast was stark. While tensions gripped the nation with Kent State shootings and inflation squeezing American wallets, radio DJs spun this carefree tune like a ray of sunshine breaking through the storm clouds. Its jug band style created an irresistible escape that resonated worldwide during these turbulent times. The lyrics captured a moment already vanishing. When Dorset sang about having a drink, having a drive, he documented a carefree attitude toward life that the upcoming oil crisis and economic recession would soon render impossible. The First Class, Beach Baby, 1974, nostalgia within nostalgia. That musical medicine would be prescribed again in 1974, but with a remarkable twist. Beach Baby transported listeners into a past that never truly existed. As Watergate shattered Americans' trust in government, a group of British studio musicians crafted an idealized California beach fantasy so convincing that even Americans bought into the illusion. The First Class wasn't actually a band at all, but a studio project created by British songwriters John Carter and Ken Lewis. This carefully manufactured nostalgia climbed to number 4 on the Billboard during the exact summer Nixon resigned in disgrace, July 1974. While Americans waited in endless gas lines during the oil crisis and watched inflation eat at their paychecks, they could close their eyes and drift back to an imaginary 1960s beach paradise. What made Beach Baby so powerful was its double layer of escape. As political scandals dominated the headlines, the song transported listeners away from the harsh realities of 1974's economic and political turmoil. Simultaneously, it airbrushed the complexities of the actual 1960s, erasing the Vietnam War, civil rights struggles, and assassinations to leave only golden sunshine and perfect waves. Kool and the Gang, Summer Madness, 1974, The Wordless Revolution. As Beach Baby climbed the charts in the summer of 1974, another musical revolution was quietly unfolding. While most hits relied on catchy lyrics and vocal hooks, Kool and the Gang took a radically different approach with Summer Madness. They let the instruments do all the talking. This wordless masterpiece emerged during a period when America's racial divisions couldn't have been more pronounced. Black unemployment had reached devastating heights, hovering around 10%, nearly double the rate for white Americans. Inner cities were struggling with poverty, crime, and neglect as white flight accelerated. Yet from this challenging landscape came one of the most serene musical statements of the decade. The Tramps, Disco Inferno, 1976, Dancing Through Fire. While Summer Madness offered peaceful escape through instrumental beauty, a very different sound was about to emerge from America's burning cities. In 1976, as New York teetered on the edge of bankruptcy and abandoned buildings in the South Bronx went up in flames, the Tramps released a song that turned urban crisis into dance floor liberation. Disco Inferno captured the striking reality of a nation where parts of major cities were literally burning. Clubgoers danced to Burn Baby Burn, often just blocks away from a neighborhood ravaged by arson. What made this juxtaposition powerful was the origin of that famous refrain, a phrase that began as a protest chant during the 1960s civil unrest, now transformed into a command to free yourself through movement. Could there be anything more surreal than finding joy amid collapse? The Stranglers, Peaches, 1977. Punk's Beach Rebellion. While Americans surrendered to disco's glittering escapism in 1977, across the Atlantic, Britain was experiencing a cultural earthquake that traded dance floor fantasy for punk's confrontational snarl. Queen Elizabeth II's Silver Jubilee presented the perfect backdrop for rebellion as the Stranglers released Peaches, a beach anthem that exposed the raw underbelly of seaside culture. The timing was jarring. Royal pageantry filled British streets while the nation crumbled beneath the surface. The winter of discontent saw public sector workers abandoning jobs, essential services halting, and garbage accumulating in towering piles throughout major cities. The Stranglers emerged with their bass-heavy beach observation promptly banned by the BBC, a censorship that only amplified its cultural impact. Peaches deliberately exposed beach culture's voyeuristic nature. The song confronted listeners with uncomfortable truths about objectification during a time when British society was coming apart at the seams. Eddie Money, Two Tickets to Paradise, 1977, the middle-class escape fantasy. While the Stranglers held up a mirror to social hypocrisy, across the Atlantic a former police officer was giving voice to Middle America's increasingly attainable dreams. In 1977, as gas prices soared and paychecks shrank, Eddie Money's Two Tickets to Paradise offered something neither disco's glitter nor punk's anger could provide: permission to keep dreaming when reality offered little hope. Edward Joseph Mahoney traded his police uniform for a microphone, bringing his blue-collar experience directly to his music. This authentic background resonated deeply with everyday Americans facing tough economic choices in the late 70s. The song's straightforward rock approach, no fancy production tricks or political messaging, spoke directly to listeners yearning for a brief escape from mounting bills and shrinking opportunities. It painted an elusive paradise in rock and roll hues, providing a weekend daydream when most could afford little else. The fantasy of packing bags and escaping tonight hit especially hard during a period when the average family's real income was dropping for the first time since World War II. For most Americans facing stagflation, energy shortages, and record-high interest rates, those tickets remained metaphorical, a momentary respite in increasingly uncertain times. Barry Manilow, Copacabana, at the Copa, 1978. Glamorous escapism meets violent reality. Just as economic reality shattered Eddie Money's paradise dreams, another hit was transforming grim urban reality into glittery fantasy. Copacabana burst onto radio waves in 1978, with Barry Manilow rapping a tale of passion, violence, and shattered dreams in an irresistible disco package. The contrast was striking. While Manilow crafted tales of yellow feathers and diamond rings, America's urban centers recorded unprecedented violence. New York City logged over 1,500 homicides that year, nearly double today's numbers. The same streets where real blood spilled hosted the fictional Copacabana, with its glamorous showgirls and passionate lovers. Worlds apart from venues like Studio 54, which had become epicenters of the escalating cocaine epidemic. Manilow's theatrical storytelling, complete with gunshots and lost love, transformed dark themes into danceable escapism. The tale of Lola, who lost her youth and she lost her Tony, sugarcoated the harsh reality of relationship violence during an era when domestic abuse remained largely hidden. John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John, Summer Nights, 1978. Sanitized nostalgia during social upheaval. The year was 1978. Divorce rates hit an all-time high, feminist movements were reshaping gender politics, and the sexual revolution was redefining American relationships. Yet somehow the biggest hit that summer featured teenagers from the 1950s singing about holding hands at the drive-in. What gives? Summer Nights from the film Grease became a cultural phenomenon, reaching number 5 on Billboard as Americans flocked to theaters to watch Travolta and Newton-John play dress-up in a version of the past that really never existed. The film resonated precisely when traditional family structures faced their greatest challenges, with nearly half of all marriages ending in divorce by the late 70s. Donna Summer, Hot Stuff, 1979. Sexual liberation meets economic stagnation. Those nostalgic escapes couldn't last forever. Just months after Grease's box office triumph, Americans found themselves facing economic disaster. Yet somehow, that's precisely when they sent Donna Summer's sexually charged Hot Stuff to the top of the charts. Was it coincidence or something deeper that this anthem of desire peaked exactly when the nation felt most powerless? In June 1979, as Americans waited hours in gas lines and inflation soared to 13.3%, President Carter delivered his Crisis of Confidence speech. Meanwhile, radio stations blasted Summer's voice demanding satisfaction, her music offering a rebellious pulse against the Iranian hostage crisis backdrop. Hot Stuff stood as disco's evolution in response to mounting criticism. Producer Giorgio Moroder deliberately incorporated hard rock elements, including Jeff "Skunk" Baxter's blistering guitar solo, a sonic burst of freedom tearing through the nation's economic chains. Rupert Holmes' Escape, the Pina Colada Song, 1979. Relationship disillusionment as the decade closed. As Donna Summer's passionate demands for satisfaction faded from the airwaves, Americans found themselves drawn to a very different kind of escape. The final #1 hit of the 1970s wasn't about disco floors or sexual liberation. It was about a bored husband answering a personal ad, only to discover he'd connected with his own wife. Escape, the Pina Colada Song, arrived precisely when Americans needed it most. With the economy spiraling into the 1979-1980 recession and inflation reaching double digits, actual tropical getaways became financially impossible for the average family. Rupert Holmes offered an affordable fantasy through rum-based drinks and newspaper personal ads accessible to everyone. The song's catchy tropical melody captured the national mood perfectly. The lyrics depicted a couple so disconnected they didn't recognize each other's desires, mirroring an America growing increasingly disillusioned with its institutions. Yet the surprise twist, the couple discovering they were actually perfect for each other, provided a desperately needed dose of optimism. In a decade that began with peace but ended with economic uncertainty, Escape suggests that perhaps what Americans were searching for had been there all along, waiting to be rediscovered. Maybe our greatest escapes are found in the familiar, seen through new eyes.